enable us to determine where we are going to fix this. So I'm just going to arrange the flap in place. I'm going to be fixing the pocket to the main panel. I have already cut out the lining. So the measurement of the lining for the pocket is a bit bigger, like ½ inch bigger than. I decided to increase it by like ½ inch so that by the time we fold, we are going to get neat edges. So I just fold it like this. Alright, I'm going to top stitch on this. I've top stitched on it and I've trimmed off the excess. Okay, so I'm going to be sewing the pockets, the external pockets to this first before putting my stabilizer and the lining. If you decide to put the interface in first, it will be too thick for you to sew. It's advisable that you sew the pocket to it first before you put your interface in. So I'll just quickly mark 1.2 out. So I'm using this part of the tape rule to get here to here, it's 1, right? 0.12. So that's what I'm trying to mark out. Remember, this is a silver pen and the marks will be cleanable. You don't have to connect the marks. These marks are just going to guide you. So you place it like this. You have to ensure that the measurement from this point to this point is equal to the measurement from here to here. And here to here it's 1.12, it's 1.2, it's also 1.2 here. You just put a kind of mark here which is going to guide you. Put a mark here. So by the time it's moving away from it, you can always bring it back to the original position. You are going to sew from this point all to this point, leaving this part alone. We are not going to be sewing this part. This is the opening for the pocket. I'm sewing from here all the way to this place. I'm not sewing this place that we've top stitched. And there's a mark here on both sides. So those marks are just going to be your guide. Before I sew, the matching foot should be on the edge of this pocket here. So I'm going to backstitch. You can see this place I backstitched. It's a bit rough. If you don't want something like this, you pass your thread to the back, then tie it at the back. These are pockets now. I'm going to place my interface on this. Below this line, that is where my interface is going to be. And the interface is not going to come beyond these lines. So these are just precautionary measures that you take. It's going to be okay. I also reduced it here, so that by the time we are sewing today, it will be very easy for us to sew. I'm going to apply gum here, then put my lining on it. Okay. Use the gum to spread this out. Then I'll keep it aside. I'm going to apply gum on this MACCO that I'm using as interface or stiffener. Just apply gum. Okay. Then use your brush to spread the gum out, just like you did for the other one. You keep it aside to let it dry. So once it has dried, I'm just going to place it following that line. So once I've done it like this, I'm just going to lay my lining on it. I actually cut the lining a bit bigger. Remember, I added ½ inch because I want to fold. You don't have to fold because this lining is thick enough. You can just place it on it, okay, and trim around it. I'm going to apply gum first before I place my lining. So I'm just folding in the lining, okay. So you can use your clips to hold them. Just fold in, because I'm going to top stitch first before any other thing. I'm going to be top stitching here to give it a kind of professional look before I put my flap on it. I'm just going to back stitch. Guys, I'm just going to trim this out. So So you don't need to fold all of this, because by the time we sew the sides to it and the bottom, it's going to cover the raw edges. All right. Before I place the flap, I'm going to also line this. I'm just going to fold it, just this part. Okay, you don't have to fold. Okay, so the rest I'm not going to fold down. I'll just quickly trim this out. You can turn to see what you are doing. Okay, I'm just curving out. Just curve it out a bit. All right. No want it to be seen than the external. I'm going to be sewing the flap to the main body now. So when placing the flap on it, remember this is the back of the flap, right? This curve here should be on this tip of the main panel. Before you place it, you just apply a bit of gum on the edge, a tiny line. Don't spread it too much so that it will not stain your lining. It is preferable you use your double-sided tape. Make sure this tip should be on this tip for the main panel. You place it like this. You can clip them in place so it doesn't move. Then I'll take this other tip too. It's acting as a guide. Place it on the tip here. All right. Then you clip. Okay. So now you are going to sew. You are going to sew from here all around it. And if you are sewing, make sure you use a red thread to match with this. Make sure you are clipping the lining to it. So guys, we are going to be sewing this to one of the main panel. This is the base of the bag, and before we fix this, we're going to be fixing our button studs. I'm going to be using 4 button studs. So for the bottom panel, I'm just going to take 3 inches in length by 1 inch in width. 3 inches by 1 inch. Then I'll make a cross mark. Take 3 by 1 inch. So now we have 4 marks. Take my seam ripper and I'm going to poke holes on them. Just cut tiny holes. When cut, don't make the holes too big. It's better if it's small. If it's small, you can always adjust the holes. So you take your thumb fit. If it's not going through, you can always recut. Let me just cut from the back. You just have to be careful. Place it through there. Okay. All right. Make sure you press it from the outside. Put gum here. Then I'm going to open it. Just look for a way to secure it. So one other thing I do is I'll just take my cello tape. If you have a double-sided tape, you use your double-sided tape to hold it in place. Just a bit. Just turn it this way. Then I'll try and pull it inside. Let it dry so it can stick well. Then you open it and use your cello tape or double-sided tape to close it up. It's a way of securing it in place. So I'm just going to do the rest now offline. Just apply gum. So I've cut out my MACCO. It's not enough, so I have to cut 2 out. So I'm going to be joining the 2. Sometimes you just have to manage your material. Brush to spread this gum out. Right? I'll apply gum here too. And I'll let them dry. I'll just wait for some minutes, like 5 minutes. Let them dry. I'm going to place it on it like this. Alright, so you can see it's not getting to the edge of the base, because I wouldn't want it to interfere by the time we are sewing on this like this. So I want to keep bulking them. Just join them. You can use your hammer to kind of hit it down. Interface MACCO is also called EVA foam. You can see how hard it is. So I'm going to be lining it up with this suede material. I'm not going to fold any part of it, so I'm just going to apply gum, then lay this on it, then trim out the excess lining. Brush, spread it out. So I'm going to allow this to dry, then I'm going to be laying my lining on it. I'm just going to lay this on it. Okay guys, then I'm going to trim off the excess lining. This is it. To sew the base to the main body of the bag, I'm going to be marking out a line like 0.4. It's not up to half, guys. By the time you make it very big and you sew on it, part of it is going to be seen like this. So I'll just take 0.4, like here to here, not up to half. I'm not going to be using this part of the tape that is not good. So I'll just use my silver pen, which is cleanable, to make the mark. So I'm taking this to this. It's not up to this. So I'll just mark it out. That's where I'm going to be placing the base of the bag. And I'm going to connect these marks. So if you are using a silver pen, the best way you can clean it after you finish your bag is to just take a bit of water and just dab on it. So once you've marked it out like this, you know I'm going to be placing it like this. So this mark here is going to act as a guide. I'm going to place a bit of gum on this. If you have your double-sided tape, you can use. I'm going to place just a line before I place it here, so it can stay for a short while. Then I'll apply it like this. Just a line. Do not spread it further. It might just get your work stained. So I prefer using my finger. But there are some tiny brush you can also get in the market. You can get this one and use them. The best thing to use is your double-sided tape. Very, very cheap, guys. So you take it, you place it following this line. Okay, this line is just going to act as a guide. Make sure you follow it, and you can take your hammer to hit it down before you clip, just to hold it in place. It doesn't move by the time you are sewing. I'm going to clip them. And make sure when you are clipping your lining along it. Okay, you clip. Alright, I'm going to clip here too. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sew from here to here. Alright, using the red thread. We are done with this. I'm just going to make the second main panel for this. I'm going to be using this to interface my bag. For the second panel, I've used this before to teach on my live stream, so I wouldn't want to waste this interfacing. So in this second panel, I'm going to be sewing an inner pocket, also known as interior pocket, which implies that the bag will now have two pockets, one external, the second for the interior lining. Once this one has dried, I'll just use my hand to check if there's no gum stain. Then I'm going to take it and place it. If from the edges I reduce like half an inch interfacing. This is what I was saying on my live stream, the one I did on Friday. Okay, that you have to reduce your interfacing so that you don't have issues with your matching sewing. So I'm just going to join this together. Okay, you can take your hammer to kind of, what I'm simply doing, I'm just reducing the MACCO, which is also known as EVA foam, from the edges. So so that it will be easy for us to sew by the time we are trying to sew with our machine. So once you are satisfied with the results, it's very hard now. Before I place this lining, I want to sew a pocket to the lining first. The template for this measurement is what you use for the inner pocket measurement too. Okay, so use the same template. Go and watch the part 1 of this video. I've explained how I drafted everything out. The other one, you can cut a bigger size. Okay, you can make, just cut out to that. You can cut a bigger size and watch how I'm going to sew it. I'm just going to place it on it like this. The first cutout should be the real one. So once I've cut it out like this, I'll just sew on it. This one is the one I use the template to cut out. I'll make the second one bigger. Then I'm going to fold it like this. Okay, because we're going to be top stitching now. Top stitch. I'll trim it off. Since you want to attach your pocket to the interior of this, if you want to sew this kind of pocket to your lining, you will not have to cut the lining excess, because you won't have to get the exact measurement, so you know where exactly you are going to place this. This is where I want my pocket to be. I just highball it. You can do some measurement if you want. So I'm going to sew from this place to this place, leaving this part that was top stitched open. And now back stitch. Our pocket. Just carefully place it on it. You aligned it. Okay, don't want to see the lining extending out of the external. So you know we are supposed to top stitch, but I'm not going to top stitching because we are still going to be pulling this one out later to fit our magnetic snap. The only part I'm going to be making use of is the down part. I'll just quickly trim off the excess. So I'm going to be fixing this base to the other main panel. Remember, we've not top stitched this part yet because we have not fixed the magnetic snap. I've made a mark here to apply a line of gum here. Just going to place it here like this. Clip it in place. The bag is coming up. I'm going to fix the side, sewing the lining to it. In this case, I'm using suede, and I'm going to fold the raw edges. Okay, then do not allow the lining to be seen over the external. I'm just going to fold. So I'm just going to top stitch. I will let it dry for a bit for it to be sticking before I lay my lining on it. This will also prevent the lining from getting stained. So guys, once you have applied your gum you want to sew, there's something I want to point out here. After taking 1/2 inches for these notches, you won't be sewing on where the cut stops directly. This is the cut or the notch that you made. Okay, so from this edge upward, you'll be sewing with 0.2. That is from here to here to here. 0.1, 0.2. You are sewing on this part for the both sides. To see what you are doing, you can actually sew it first before you sew your lining. I'm still going to sew the lining to it. Okay guys, I'm just doing this so that you understand what I'm doing. So I just want to make sure that I sew at that point, because if you want to sew with the lining to it, you won't be able to see the point. I'm going to glue this lining to it. When we are sewing the side to the bag, it's going to stitch the lining as well. Alright, so I'm just going to trim these parts off. We want to put the magnetic snaps now. I'm going to fix these magnetic snaps to this bag, the female and the male magnetic snaps. If you're using a chain that is this color, please get magnetic snaps that are silver in color. This is silver, alright, but these are the ones I have. I'm going to be fixing the magnetic snaps here, and these are going to be the female magnetic snaps. Each of them come with it, and I also have 2 pieces of leather cut out. This is to secure them. This is what you shouldn't do. I ought not to have sewn this part first. Okay, remember we didn't sew this part too. I should have done the same to this. I will just lose from here to here, and also from here I won't lose it completely. After fixing the magnetic snaps, I will sew again on the same stitch. I'm going to be fixing the magnetic snaps on the lining. I'm going to be taking 1 by 1 inch. So from the length and from the height, it's going to be 1 by 1 inch. Then I'll cross it like this. These are the points I'm going to be fixing magnetic snaps on. You take your magnetic snap, you place the middle. This is the middle, right? The middle of it at the middle of this cross mark. This. Then you press it to get that mark from the props. Once you've gotten the mark, you just use your pen to emphasize it. So these are the marks. Then I'm going to do the second one. I'll take it, the middle of it, I will place at the middle of this cross mark here. Okay, press it down just to get mark. I'll make it obvious. You're going to take your seam ripper, and I'm going to be cutting this mark open with the seam ripper. So I just cut very tiny holes. Not make it too big. I will take the snap. Okay, I'm going to take this piece of leather. I'm going to be making cuts on it. I'll use this to stabilize it. So I'll just quickly put some mark. Alright. So you can trim this part off. You can trim it off. I'm just going to press this inside. Put this cover. Alright. So you can use your hand to close it up, or you can use your hammer to just push it down. Though it's easy to close, I'm just going to press it down. Press it down and see how tight it is now. Okay, very, very secured. I'm going to do the same thing here. And just press it down. So I'm going to top stitch now to determine where I'm going to fit these other ones called the main magnetic snaps. Remember, we just fixed this, so I actually attached the side panels to them first to enable us to determine where we are going to fix this. So I'm just going to arrange the flap in place. Add a little chalk mark here. So by the time I press it to this, it's going to imprint on it. Okay. Around this place, just going to place like a middle mark. Just going to leave a center mark on it. Then this is around here. Remember, we've not top stitched this part, so I'm going to pull this out of it. Okay, don't worry, if it's not strong enough, we can still reapply gum. So I'm just going to pull this one down a bit. So this way we're going to, I don't want it to be too thick, so you put it down. This part I've pulled it down too. I'm just going to take this the main magnetic snap. I will press it down. Then this is the middle, right? So I'll place the middle of this at the middle of this. I'm going to press it down just to get that mark. Okay, do the same thing here. Get the middle, align them, then press it down. Use my pen to emphasize the marks. Okay, then I'll take my seam ripper. I'm going to cut marks on them. When you cut, you don't make the holes too big. You can start by making them small. You can always adjust. If they are too big, your magnetic snaps are going to be falling out. So this small entry seems to be too small, so I will kind of increase it a bit. Alright, that's entered. So I'm going to turn it this way. Then I'm going to put dates on it like this. Then I'll press it down. This is just to secure it. Then I will use this as a cover. You can use the other one too. It's still going to work the same way. Then you can bend it down. You can simply use your hammer to hit it down. Okay. Then just place something like a leather here to protect these magnetic snaps from getting rough. So just put it down like this. Okay, you can see how strong it is, very strong. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Too. Alright, I'm just quickly going to reapply gum here. So now that I've fixed the magnetic snaps, I'm just going to top stitch here. To see how beautiful this bag is turning out. Side remaining the side to be completed. Can you see how it's turning out? I'm going to be sewing the side now. I'm going to apply gum from this panel. Do not extend your gum to the flap. It's going to stain it. You're applying your gum from this main panel down to this. Okay, and it's going to be a tiny line of gum. I'm going to apply on the side. Use your clips. So I'm going to sew from this point all the way to this point now. I'm going to back stitch first. So if you want to make any adjustments, just put your needle down, then you raise the foot, machine foot up. going to be the last part before we put our chain handle. Fist this side, just go to fist the other side now. So I'll do what I did here before. I'll apply gum all around. I've applied gum on the side, also applied gum here. Guys, if to know the kind of gum I'm using, this top bond, I posted it on my community tab. So that this one is aligned to the top first before you make any adjustments. It has to be at the top. This and this have to align. Just clips, or clip them in place. So there are stronger clips that you can get from the market. I'm just going to sew from this point all the way to this point. Go to backstage first. So in the second side of the bag, just take pains, guys. Do not rush. So if you feel your clips are interrupting, you can remove them as you go. We are approaching the corners now. The corners are a bit difficult when sewing. I'm going to be punching holes on the flap. We are going to be putting my chain handle. We're just going to measure 2 inches from the edge. Make sure it's at the middle. So we're trying to figure out where we are going to place our eyelets. In between the 2 eyelets, the distance is going to be 1.5 inches. Depending on how you want them to be spaced, you can actually use 1 inch if you want. Okay, I'll put a cross mark there. The same here. I'll first of all take 2 inches. Okay, so this way I'm going to be poking my holes. I'm going to be using 4 eyelets, and they come with cover. All right, I'm using a bow pouch that is size 14. I'm going to need a plank, hammer, and a eyelet man chain. I'm not going to do this here. So if you want to see how to fit eyelet properly on Ankara bag like this or any bag, please, I'm going to be leaving a video somewhere here or here. I think I watch full video on how to fit eyelets, the eyelets to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the pockets, there's the side. This is 1.5 inches in width by 45 inches in length. Okay. So before you start weaving, you can just cut a slit on it, so it will be easy to pass through the chain. So it's very simple. I have lots of video where I taught how you can weave your fabric to your chain. And draw with your super glue. Just cut a bit out, then take your super glue, just fold it in. This is one of the importance of super glue, and they are always very strong. Super glue, just press it to it. So if there's any fabric fraying out, you can always just, all right, so strong. So here is it. Just going to do the other one same way. start weaving, you can try it out on your bag first to see how long it is.